Okay, what I want to do next is I want to actually hide the video feed coming from the camera. Now, as much as I kind of have fun doing face filters, I don't like to see my face all the time. And I think face filters are, have a lot of potential, and this tool has a lot of potential. So I found this little trick that allows me to conceal the, let's say, the video feed. And for me, it's useful. I want to share that trick with you. I don't ask you to use it, like you don't have to, but just so that what I find, it removes this kind of toy quality to everything that you see in face filters. All this, Star Trekky stuff, which consists on attaching things to your face. And I think that the tool itself has a greater potential than just these simplistic approaches to it. So I want to share this little trick with you, which is what this video is about. But again, you're not obliged to use this. Use the tool to your own wishes and to your own desires. Don't concern yourself too much about reaching a specific aesthetic. Just try to push the tool to reach your goals. But I want to share this little trick with you because I find it to be handy for certain kind of work. So in order to remove the background, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add the face tracking, because whatever I do, I want to keep that face tracking rolling. So in the previous video, I favorited my face mesh. So over here, you can see it's a start. So I just simply add it and boom, I'm back again at this kind of robotic otherness that I like so much about this tool. And it's also grotesque and scary in many ways. And then here in the camera, you will see that the camera has certain features here, certain attributes that we can come and modify. The one that we need to, or the one that I want to change now, you can change pretty much any attribute you like, and you can't go wrong. So feel free to mess around all the attributes of all the objects and delete, and you can't go wrong with this. You cannot break anything, so just experiment around. But the one feature that I want to show you is this clear color. So when I click this clear color that you see over here, something's going to happen up there. We'll see what happens. I click on clear color, click, and then this input thing has appeared, right? If I unclick, you see that it disappears, and if I click on clear color, it appears back again. And here it says device camera texture. We don't really know what that is yet, but I can tell you that what the device is doing, so what this input is doing, what this thing is doing, is capturing the camera feed, creating a texture out of it. A texture is just kind of like a candy wrapper, and then it's just putting it as the input for the camera object. This is completely irrelevant to understanding in great detail because we are just gonna get rid of it. So together with this tutorial, I will post a series of assets that I have prepared here for you. There we go. Assets, I downloaded them. I'll place them. I should place them somewhere a bit more. Should place them in your desktop so they are easily accessible. So this collection of assets that you have here, I will share with you. I'll put them in the drive so that you have a working basis also, and you can follow these tutorials. But if you go here to textures, double click, I have a bunch of things here prepared, and here on solid, what I did is just basically a number of solid colors. You can do this in any piece of software, like really, I'm sure you can do this. And they have these dimensions, 20, so it's basically a 2K texture. Textures are normally square images. So yeah, they have the same dimension on the width as they have on the height. The bigger your texture, I mean, this texture doesn't have to be this big. It could also be 128 by 128, and it will work all the same. And in fact, it would occupy less space. But I just happen to have this, and I donate them to the purpose of showing you this tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm just basically going to drag a texture. So just from my Finder or my File Explorer, what I do is I just drag a texture and drag it to my resources or assets area. So that's over here, and then I let go. And there I have the black. As you can see, there's a new asset, black, created. I do the same thing with the purple. I drag it there, and I'm going to do the same thing with the orange and the blue, just for kicks, just to experiment a little bit. So now I have black, purple, orange, and blue. All right, these are the assets. They are now included in my project. The size of my project will almost certainly increase the moment this gets refreshed because I just added 3 files, but I think we're still within bounds. And again, I'm going to go back to the camera object. I had the clear color clicked, and then here on the input what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag let's say the purple texture and dump it there, and now the video feed is gone. I find this useful. It has some aesthetic potentials that I actually enjoy playing with, and it kind of removes the silliness of that a lot of filters have of just simply attaching, things awkwardly to a video feed of your face. So I think this already gets us into another aesthetic dimension that I like to explore with you. Another thing that you can do with this camera is the input, instead of being a flat texture, it can also be the previously rendered frame. So I can also say so every frame that the camera renders gets rendered to this thing called the render target, this thing over here. What happens if I put the render target as my input? Let's see what happens. So I can choose here the render target, and I click OK. And now we see that the camera is leaving a trace behind. You see? This is called feedback. Feedback is awesome. I love feedback. I encourage you to use feedback on anything. But today we're going to use feedback for extra psychedelic effect. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a few post-processing filters for coloring. Let's see, what can I do here? So I'm going to add a heat. Let's do heat, or let's do rainbow rather. I'm going to do rainbow. There we go. It's already full funk. And I'm gonna, if I add the rainbow before, you know what, this is getting a bit distracting. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disable, okay, I'm gonna go back to something a little bit quieter because I think I'm gonna go insane if I keep doing this. So in the camera, I'm just gonna drag again the orange to the input, or the blue, sorry, I dragged the blue. So you can see the effect of the rainbow rather. So what the rainbow is doing is basically creating a kind of it applies a specific kind of palette to the face mesh. If I move the rainbow before, you see it doesn't have any effect. If I move the rainbow to the face mesh, then it only applies the rainbow effect to the face mesh. I'm going to go back to 3D view. I'm gonna, this is still a bit harsh, so I want to soften this up a little bit. Beauty filter, maybe, something like that, and apply it again to the same mesh. That doesn't seem to do much. Yeah, it gets us nice purples there. I like those purples. Let's keep that. I'm gonna go and redo the trick that I showed you before, which is I want to get that feedback loop back in. So in the input, I select the render target. That's how you do feedback. And I click OK, and boom, we are again at this kind of extra psychedelic effect. But the background is really noisy. It's kind of ugly. So we want to do something else there. I'm gonna add a shake. No, that shakes my object, and that's not what I want. No, shake is not what I want. Again, you know, the same thing that I'm doing, which is basically clicking around to find the aesthetic effect that I'm looking for, is something that I encourage you to do. You all left like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, something like that. I'm kind of tired, so I'm clicking around perhaps a little bit pointlessly. I hope I'm not wasting your time. But what I'm looking for is an effect that allows me to just, it's a post effect, it's distortion, that's the one. Yes, okay. So distortion, what you see right now is the distortion effect, because it's at the bottom of my stack. is basically distorting everything. But if I move the distortion effect and I place it before the face mesh, then you get a clean, a clean face mesh, and this full-on distortion going on in the background. Again, distortion becomes a material in my resources as well. So over here I can come, and if it's a bit too freaky, I can just lower the speed a little bit, or actually decrease the intensity. Maybe that's a little better, or increase the intensity. Change the style, it can be linear. Or make the speed a little bit less, and that has a slightly fade out effect, as you can see. Yeah, so this video is basically to show you that, the aesthetic potential of this tool goes beyond just strapping things awkwardly to somebody's face, and it's a matter of experimenting a bit with occlusion, feedback, occluding the background, and just experimenting with post-processing effects. There are quite a few of them that are built in color correction and post effects. You can find most of the post-processing effects. And that's it for this video. There is a lot more to this tool, but I think that this is what I can show you for today. Go play with this tool. I would suggest try and replicate the analog face filter that you made yesterday. Marcus will be with you today, and I'll be with you tomorrow. We have the full 2 days to experiment with this tool and other tools, and get you to produce AR content that is consistent with the scenario that you've been developing yesterday. All right, thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.